Hello there and welcome to the show. It is episode 36. I'm Stuart Thompson, just in case you need to know that information. And if you joined us last week, we were looking back over the last 5 years of cross-functional fitness and shared some of the highlights to celebrate cross-functional fitness being in business for that long. 5 years. Can you imagine? 5 years. What can you do in 5 years? I guess it's not that long really, is it? I mean, I've got clothes that are much older than that. I just hate buying new clothes. I mean, if there's no holes in them, what's the point in getting any more? Like, if they're not worn out, why do we need to buy more? I don't get it. Why do they have to be in fashion? I don't know. Anyway, on with the show. This week, we're going to think about getting back into training. It's that time of year where lots of people are starting to get back into the gym, restarting into the gym. Maybe it's your first time, but they're trying to make a real go of it. And if that's you, keep listening. Or if you know someone who is in that situation, pass this episode on to them after you listen to it yourself, of course. So it's still January. We're nearly halfway into it. That's the good news. Lighter and brighter days are on the way. Maybe you've gotten yourself back into the gym already. Maybe you've been putting it off because you just fear that it's going to be so terrible, it's going to feel awful. I get it. We've all been there. And there are some things that you do need to know whenever you are starting back in. If you have maybe missed a couple of months or a couple of years, there's some things you need to do, some precautions you need to take, and some advice you maybe need to adhere to stay safe and to keep yourself from injuries and just to get the most out of your sessions as well. So if you haven't been training for a few weeks or a few months, a few years, whatever, and want to start back, keep listening. Maybe you're really enthusiastic about it, or maybe you're a bit apprehensive. Either way, here are some really, really helpful tips to get you back into your training routine as seamlessly as possible. So tip number 1 is don't pick up where you left off. So what I mean by that, a lot of people like to adhere to this principle or this piece of advice, just pick up where you left off. But it's a mistake. If you're going into the gym after you have stopped for 3, 4, 5 months or more, it's going to be a mistake to try and lift the same weight that you were lifting first day back in the gym. Now, I don't know whether it's pride, whether it is just bad memory, but a lot of people, don't like to think that they've gotten weaker since they haven't been in the gym. So if you were deadlifting 100 kilos, for example, and you stopped for a month or more, what would make you think you've retained that sort of strength? If that was your working weight, if that was the weight you were training with, what makes you think that you could somehow go back in without any negative consequences and lift that weight again? It just doesn't make sense. If that's the weight that you had worked your way up to before, after months and months of consistent training, you're probably going to be, at the very least, going to be a little, very, very sore for a few days if you jump straight back in at that weight. Number 2, another reason for that is you just don't want to risk injury. So if you're jumping in at that sort of weight after being off for so long, your bone density, chances are it's going to have changed if it's been a significantly long amount of time. Your whole structure has changed. So some muscles might be tight, there might be imbalances in your hips. There's going to be all sorts of things going on that you aren't aware of and that I'm not aware of. So jumping back in at a really heavy weight is not a good idea. Now, you might feel like after your warm-up sets, you're ready to go, you're ready to jump in and just go for it, just rip that weight off the floor. But you're dramatically increasing your risk of injury by trying to lift what you previously lifted on your very first day back. It's just not smart. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just not smart. So hopefully I've talked you down off that ledge. Hopefully your ego is being put back in its place. I think sometimes that's it. It's ego. We want to go in and we want to think that we can hit the weights that we were hitting previously. We're in denial. We don't want to admit that have gotten weaker. No one wants to say we've gotten weaker, do they? It's not a cool thing to say. It's not a very nice thing to say. It sort of gives a bit of a kick in the nuts, doesn't it? But another really good reason is your progress will most likely stall much quicker if you attempt to pick up exactly where you left off. If you have not been applying stress to your body, to your muscles, and you all of a sudden go in at a really, really challenging weight, maybe you could lift that 100 kilos for 5 reps or whatever, but if you go and try and do that, you're going to be sore for days. You're probably not going to be able to train. If that's on the Monday, you're not going to be able to train on the Wednesday and then again on the Friday. You're probably going to leave it till the Friday before you tackle it again because you'll be so stiff and sore. So patience really is vital. you're gonna progress much smooth. Your progress is gonna be much smoother. You're gonna progress without any hiccups along the way if you are more patient. So depending on how long you've been off, I would advise you to drop your weight down by about 25% even, maybe more if it's been a really, really long time, even 20%. But that goes for most lifts, not just the deadlift. You can apply it to the squat, you can apply that to your bench press, your overhead press, cleans, whatever it is you're doing. I would recommend knocking off a substantial amount of weight, 20-25%, until you feel, until you're back up to scratch again. So after that first session, it's almost like a taster, it's like a test session to see how are you going to react to it. Are you going to be in agony for days, or are you going to feel anything? So yeah, I would highly recommend that you do knock a good bit of weight off. If you're dealing with things like cardio, again, just lower your expectations a little bit. Don't be expecting, if you're a really good runner, a really good cyclist or rower, or whatever it is you're into, don't be expecting you're going to hit the exact same heights that you were at previously if you've taken a good chunk of time off. Just lower your expectations, take it easy, don't kill yourself, don't make yourself vomit, don't be a hero. You're not going to get any prizes for throwing up all over the gym floor, or just being sick, or just being, destroyed whenever you go home. So take it a little bit easier, build yourself up. You will build up quicker than if you had not trained at all. A lot of people think whenever you stop training that that's it, you're back to square one. You're definitely not back to square one. Your body will retain strength that you have developed before you stop training. You're going to be stronger, you're going to be further along than if you'd never trained at all. Hopefully that makes sense. And the same with cardio, you'll soon get it back quicker. And same with your strength, you get your strength back up quicker than the first time you had to try and build it back up. So just err on the side of caution would be my first piece of advice. So moving on to tip number 2, and we've already given it away. Managing your expectations. So I already hinted at it, but some people do come back to the gym and they expect to be just as fit as they were before. They expect to be just as strong as they were before, and it's just not the case. But on the other flip side of it, others avoid going to the gym because they think that they've lost any progress that they maybe have made previously. So if you've taken off a few months, you're back to square one. Now, you won't be back to square one, as we already said during tip number 1. But both of those assumptions are incorrect. You won't be as unfit maybe as you think, but some people won't be as fit as they think. They won't be as strong as they think. You won't be at the very same level that you were if you haven't trained for some months, but you won't have lost everything. You're still going to be stronger than you were if you'd never trained at all. You're still going to be fitter than if you'd never trained at all. Like, unless you've literally been lying in bed with flu or something like that, then you're not going to have lost everything, okay? And this, you're not moving, you're not eating enough, then you will waste away and you'll kind of wither away, unfortunately. That's why it's important to keep the calories up and eating well and all of that. So the good news is you will get back up to speed surprisingly fast with some consistency. So just start training again consistently. That's it. That's the key. Being patient, being consistent with it. And sometimes our expectations can get the better of us. If you go in with just not even expecting too much, just go in and have that percentage based in mind that I mentioned in tip number 1. That should go a long way to helping you get some more out of your gym sessions, and just ramp it up. Like, get into it and get consistent. Just small baby steps. Like I said, for your upper body, you want to be kind of trying to increase like a kilo at a time. For lower body, maybe 2.5 kilos at a time, maybe even more. If you've been strong before and you've lost it, you can maybe ramp that up again a little bit sooner than someone who's building strength for the very first time. And then moving on to tip number 3. So this one, again, I've already hinted at. I keep giving these away. Start small and build up. So like I said, be patient. If you're procrastinating and you're maybe talking yourself out of starting back, or you're going through it in your head and you're thinking, oh, I can't bear to, I'm overweight, I've put on so much weight, my waist's bigger, my clothes don't fit, I'll be embarrassed. Forget about that. Here's what to do. Keep it really simple. Okay, so instead of preparing to climb Mount Everest, maybe just think about going for a brisk hill walk first, right? You go for something a little bit smaller, well, significantly smaller. Go for something more manageable, more achievable. And don't overcomplicate things or build it up into something really scary or intimidating. Don't think you have to be, conquering Everest on the first trip to the gym. Just start small, pick a few exercises and stick to them. Go with the intention of maybe, just 1 or 2, 3 lifts at the most, not 8, not 10. Don't have a really elaborate plan. And even if you really just can't be bothered and you cannot be bothered turning up to the gym, just go and say, I'm just going to do a warm-up. Go and do a warm-up and see how I feel. And more often than not you will want to do a workout. Then you want to get stuck in. You'll get a fever for it, and you'll want to get stuck in. For example, you could just do them with a squat, bench press, deadlift. 3 really simple lifts, 3 staples, but they're the best and the most effective way to get stronger quickly. They're just 3 exercises, but take your time at them. Prepare, sensibly. Do plenty of warm-up sets. Hone in your movement patterns. Get those movement patterns drilled in again, and then you can start thinking about adding other stuff if you want to. But those are 3 simple exercises, and they can get you a very, very, very long way. So even if you're just starting off the gym, you've never been before, just practice them. Start light, warm up with a bar, and just get progressively heavier. Just drill those movement patterns before you start adding loads of weight, and get to whatever you think is challenging for whatever many reps, 5 reps, 10 reps, 8 reps, whatever it is you're going to go for. Tip number 4, weight comes and weight goes. Like, what does that even mean? Who thought of this? Anyway, maybe you've put on some unwanted weight since you stopped training. So we've had the last 2 years of absolute pandemonium and the world's gone absolutely crazy. Maybe, gym shutdowns and all that lunacy, but maybe that stops you from training. Maybe it's knocked you off your kilter. Maybe you've put on weight. Maybe you get stressed and you ate too much. I get it. Okay, I understand. Maybe you just, you feel a little bit embarrassed about it, and restarting is the last thing you can think of. You just think, oh, I'm going to be so out of shape. I just don't want to do it. I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be it's going to be unpleasant. Listen, first of all, what you need to know is that everybody's weight fluctuates. Even the people who think their weight doesn't fluctuate, it fluctuates. It does so in different seasons of life, and you're not the first person and you're not alone, okay? So sometimes in your 20s, it's easier to manage your weight. You kind of, level out. It doesn't bounce about as much. In your teens, you generally don't put on weight very easily. As our metabolism starts to slow down, as our energy levels slow down, as our life gets busier, we have more responsibilities. We have to look after kids. We have to look after our dogs. We have to manage a job. We have to manage a house. All these things build up, and it means that you have less time to move. You have less time to commit to the gym, to think about the gym. You have less time to prepare your food. You eat more convenience food. You eat less good, solid, unprocessed food. We all go for convenience, right? And highly processed foods. It's quicker, right? I get it. We all do it whenever we get busier. That's understandable. But putting on unwanted weight is not something to be embarrassed about in the first place, any more than your hair growing a little bit longer than you prefer it to be is embarrassing. Like, seriously, it really isn't. Weight fluctuates. We need to understand that, and although it's not healthy, if we're getting overweight and we are obese, it's not healthy, and I'm not part of the biggest beautiful crowd, although at the same time, no one should be bullied about their weight, no one should be made fun of about their weight, but I'm not going to pretend that being overweight and being obese is healthy, or it's normal, or it's good for the human body. It's just not. And no matter how emotionally attached or emotionally charged this topic is, it doesn't change the studies, it doesn't change what we know in reality about it. But having said all that, we can change it, right? We can change it we can cut your hair, and we can change our weight. Both of these things are not fixed forever. You're not destined to be overweight. You're not destined to be that weight or be that shape or be that size. You're in control of both of those things. You can go to the hairdresser and they can cut it for you. You can go to a gym, go to a PT, and they can help you trim the waist, trim the weight down. And that really should fill you with lots of confidence and inspire you, because you should never, ever, 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 as Michael Scott would say, for any reason, attach your self-worth, this is me speaking now, attach your self-worth to your weight on the scales or your level of fitness or strength. By the way, Michael Scott is in The Office, the US Office, in case you don't know who that is and you think I'm talking about some guy. If you don't watch the US Office, you should watch it because it's really funny and it'll make you laugh. As I said, these numbers go up and down, as we've already mentioned. Your scale weight will fluctuate. It'll fluctuate throughout the day. After you've slept all night, you're probably going to be lighter. As you go through the day, maybe you drink more water, eat more food, you're going to be heavier probably towards the end of the day. Not always. Some people goes the opposite way, and you've had a big meal the night before, you might be sitting in you, but generally you'll be lighter in the morning. That's why lots of people like to weigh themselves in the morning. But as I said, the weight fluctuates. Going to the toilet's going to bring your weight down. Eating more food is going to bring your weight up. Drinking more water is going to bring your weight up. So if your weight increases beyond what you would consider ideal, your sense of self-worth might drop if you have attached your self-worth to the scale weight. So that's why it's important not to do that. You are worth so much more. You're much more valuable than that. And all it is a metric. It's a measurement device. Okay, it's like measuring the size of your brain. I mean, who really cares? You know, it's not valuing your kindness or your heart or any of those internal all those things that your family see, that the people closest to you see. So why worry about it? Okay, don't get emotionally attached to that weight on the scales. Data, okay, if you need to lose weight, that's one thing, but don't let it emotionally drive you. Okay, don't let it get into your head and cause you to feel sad about yourself, or depressed, or just anxious about people looking at your size or shape. I know it's easy for me to say that, but I'm trying to tell you it from the point of view that it's not worth it. And that's the long and short of it. It's just not worth it. The other thing is, if you attach your self-worth to the amount of weight you used to be able to lift in the gym, or how your body used to look, or how fit you used to be, how fast you could run a marathon, how fast you could do this or that, you're going to be really annoyed, aren't you? You're going to be disappointed in yourself. Your sense of self-worth is going to drop as your strength goes down. So there's a pattern there, and it's a pattern that we need to address, and it's getting inside our own heads and trying to think about those things and process those things. But get good friends around you, get people who are going to encourage you and support you, and don't worry about anybody who's anything negative to say, because they're not worth worrying about, right? So weight comes and weight goes. That's the other thing you should know. Don't procrastinate. Don't put off the gym. Get yourself healthier. The other thing I should say at this point is, going to the gym is not the best way to lose weight. Going to the gym is great for many, many, many reasons. I illustrate them and point them out every day of the week on social media, but losing weight is not the absolute best one. It can help, yes, it can help put you at a calorie deficit, but our nutrition is the thing, our eating habits is the thing. So yeah, that's point 4. And now we have tip number 5. And this one, it needs to be said out loud and needs to be repeated, because lots of people at the back can't hear. The goal is not to be sore. Okay, the goal is not to be sore. For some reason, there's lots of people who still think that soreness really is the really good measurement of how useful or how good a workout was, or how good their training's going. If they stop being sore, well, they need to change things up, or they need to do this, need to do that. Now, I'm not talking if you're slightly stiff or a wee bit tight, kind of sore after working out the day after, 2 days later. I mean, you can't get down the stairs or can't get off the toilet kind of sore. That kind of soreness. That's not cool. That's not fun. Nobody likes that. And it's a common misconception that soreness is always a good sign of a good workout. It really isn't. With that sort of logic, the sore you are, the better quality your workout was. That's how the logic goes. So thankfully, this is not the case. You don't have to be aching sore. Some people think that PTs love making people sore. I personally don't like making people sore, because it's going to inhibit their next workout. I'm always thinking of the next workout, the next workout. I'm training them today so that they can be stronger tomorrow and the next day. Like the tagline of this podcast, train today so you can be stronger tomorrow. So I'm trying to take in the long term. I'm trying to take in a week from now, a few days from now, beating somebody's body up into a pulp and just making them sore, sweaty, tired. That's not a good sign of a good trainer, if you ask me. That's a sign of a trainer who is either a statistic or doesn't really know what they're doing that well. If you're sore all the time, that's different. Sometimes it's a bit of a guessing game if you come into the gym and you haven't trained for a while, or if you maybe just change your workout program up a little bit. It's a bit of a guessing game, because it's hard to know how your body's going to react to it and how sore you're going to be. So after that first workout, you want to adjust things and adapt. Now, if you haven't done anything before and you go to the gym, you are going to be sore for a few weeks. That's just the way it is, I'm afraid. But if anything, soreness really indicates that you've overestimated your muscle's ability to perform the lowering phase of a lift, whatever that load is. So I think I've said this before, but the goal for you in your first workout back, and even the first month of training, should just be develop good habits. So go into the gym and just go through the motions if you want to. Some people slag that idea off, but just get in the habit of going to the gym, and then you can start ramping up the intensity after that. Developing good eating habits as well, sleeping habits, all that sort of stuff. But so your goal for the first workout is trying to get used to that stimulus again of actually working your muscles. So then taking a day or two to recover, preferably 2 days, so you can go again. So as I said, it's always thinking about the next workout. In the next workout, then you're going to try and add a little bit more weight to each lift if you're not absolutely in agony and terribly sore. If that's the case, maybe you should stick with the same weight. Okay, don't hammer yourself just as hard. Maybe even drop a little bit of weight off. There's no harm in that. So keep doing that just over and over again and progress. So this is a much better indication. If you're able to start adding more weight, this is a much better sign of progress than just strutting around like John Wayne the next day or not being able to get in out of your car. It's just not a good look. So yeah, that's the last tip. Do not go to the gym to get sore. If you want to get sore, there's other recommendations. Like you could just like walk in front of a bus. You could just let your kids kick you in the stomach. You could let whoever your friends slap you in the face. There's loads of ways to make yourself sore. Absolutely loads of them. More creative ways than going to the gym, and probably quicker ways as well. As a disclaimer, I'm not advocating violence here. Just to point that out. And now for our first news of the week article. This one is actually towards the end of last year, so 16th of December. And it's a study on ScienceDaily.com, and the title of it is Uncovered, Key to How Exercise Protects Against Consequences of Aging. So the summary is scientists have discovered an enzyme that is key to why exercise improves our health. So Monash University scientists have discovered an enzyme that is key to why exercise improves our health. Importantly, wait to hear this, but this is great. Importantly, this discovery has opened up the possibility of drugs to promote this enzyme's activity, protecting against the consequences of aging on metabolic health, including type 2 diabetes. So, with the conclusion that exercise is good for our health because of an enzyme, they're now trying to use that enzyme to create drugs to sell to us so that we don't have to exercise. Oh, you couldn't make it up. So it's just, it sums up, doesn't it? Everything, quick fix world that we live in. Nobody wants to exercise, so let's just pump ourselves full of drugs. And don't get me wrong, some drugs are necessary, some drugs are needed whenever the body goes haywire. If we have suffered a life of abuse and we haven't taken care of our bodies, then we need some drugs. I fully get that. Some drugs we need through no fault of our own, through no nothing that we've done wrong. But this is craziness, isn't it? Like taking the benefit of exercise and trying to put it into a pill, trying to put it into a drug. The proportion of people worldwide over 60 years old will double in the next 3 decades, and by 2031, more than 6 million Australians will be over 65 years old. The incidence of type 2 diabetes increases with age, so this ageing population will also result in an increased incidence of the disease globally. One of the main reasons for the increased prevalence of type 2 diabetes with age is the development of insulin resistance, or an inability for the body to respond to insulin, and this is often caused by reduced physical activity as we age. So that's it, and that's kind of it in a nutshell, isn't it? It's not like aging doesn't just happen, and that's been shown. It's because we stop moving, we stop moving about. It's not because our body's preventing us from moving about. It's because we stop moving, we stop being as active, we stop squatting, we stop stretching, we just stop moving as much, and this has all sorts of repercussions. Story continues here then. However, the precise mechanisms by which physical activity facilitates the development of insulin resistance has remained a mystery. Now researchers from Monash University in Australia have discovered how physical activity actually enhances insulin responsiveness and in turn promotes metabolic health. Importantly, the enzymes they have discovered that are key to this mechanism have the potential to be targeted by drugs to protect against consequences of aging, such as muscle wasting and diabetes. Or you could do weights and manage your weight, but who wants to do that, right? I'm sorry, I find that like it's just crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy, and it's hard not to be like in the back of your head thinking money, 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 money. It's all about the money, isn't it? And these pharmaceutical companies just want to get stuck in and just want to like make money off of the older population, which it's predicting. It's not that hard to predict. You look at the census and say, right, there was X amount of people born in whatever year, 30 years time is going to be this amount of people, roughly. So it's not hard to see. They can look at the demographics and see what is coming up ahead. So a team of scientists at the Monash University Biomedicine Discovery Institute, led by Professor Tony Taganas, reveals that reductions in skeletal muscle reactive oxygen species, ROS for short, regeneration during aging is instrumental in the development of insulin resistance. According to Professor Taganas, skeletal muscle constantly produces ROS, so that is reactive oxygen species, and this is increased during exercise. Exercise-induced ROS drives adaptive responses that are integral to the health-promoting effects of exercise, he said. So he's got a paper here published on the 15th of December in the journal Science Advances. The research team show how an enzyme called NOx4 is essential for exercise-induced ROS and adaptive responses that drive metabolic health. In mice, the researchers found that NOx4 is increased in skeletal muscle after exercise, and that this then leads to increased ROS, which elicits adaptive responses that protect mice from the development of insulin resistance, which otherwise occurs with aging or diet-induced obesity. So it's all very interesting. Like, if you're a bit of a science nut, I guess, like, you go into all the details of this and why that's fascinating. But for me, it's just interesting how, like, yeah, we know exercise benefits us and helps counteract some of the consequences of aging, from a mobility standpoint, from blood pressure, from insulin resistance, metabolic health, preventing muscle wastage, from bone density, brain health. All, like, there's so many things. It's literally like a miracle drug, and something we maybe have to do every day or every other day and do regularly. Yet here we are trying to turn it into a drug. It's just so ironic, isn't it? After the last 2 years and the consequences of us not taking care of our bodies, of obesity, and a virus comes along and really, really worries everybody, and then all of a sudden we're trying to just create more drugs. It's crazy. Now it's time for some FAQs, frequently asked questions, and these are some ones that have been gathered in over the last couple of weeks. Somebody asks, can you give any advice on just starting in the gym? I don't have a clue. So this is probably quite a common question this time of year, and my advice to most people, again, without knowing your specific situation, what your body composition is, what size, or what your goal is, I would say most people, if I were to hazard a guess, should get stronger first. They should just try and get a bit stronger first. So some people are like, no, I'll try and lose weight and then I'll try and put on muscle. And some are like, no, I'll put on muscle and then I'll lose weight. The truth of the matter is, the stronger you are, the easier everything else becomes. So if you build up your strength, guess what? Your cardio is going to suddenly become a bit easier. You're going to start losing body fat without even realizing it. As you get stronger, every type of exercise class you do just feels so much easier. The light weights feel even lighter. The intermediate weights feel light. It just goes like that. And whenever you've built up that initial strength, guess what else? Every time you do a workout, you're able to exert more energy. You're able to expend more calories because you're lifting heavier weights. So if you're able to bench press 20 kilos when you start in the gym, a few months later, a few weeks later, you can suddenly bench press 40 kilos. You're essentially using twice the amount of energy. Now, that might not be exactly the right ratio. Maybe you get more efficient and all those sort of things, but you're essentially doing more work. It's going to send your heart rate up. You're going to burn more calories when you're in the gym, and you're probably going to you are going to burn more calories at rest as well. So I would say get stronger first, and then it just makes everything else more successful thereafter. Other advice, just keep it simple. You know, you don't have to have the most complex. Some people want really tailored, really specific, phases, progressions, blah, blah, blah. If you're literally just getting off the couch and you've never done any exercise before, you've never been to the gym before, or it's a really long time, just keep it simple. 3 sets, heavy sets of 5, 3 sets of 10. Basically, any stimulus you try and start to apply to the body, you're going to get some sort of a benefit from. It's better than doing nothing. So just keep it simple. Keep a little track of your workouts as well. So write them in your diary, write them in your phone, in an app, whatever it is you have. Keep a track of them so you know what you did last time and you know what you're going to do this time. On that note, go in with a plan. Don't just wing it. Don't just do random stuff. Don't do lunges one week and then do squats the next week and then leg press the next. Keep it simple. Pick 3-4 exercises. Do them well. Rest plenty in between sets and all of that. And yeah, just progressively try and get stronger. But keep a track of what you're doing. Keep an eye on what you're doing and try and go in with the plan. So you did this amount of weight last session, so you're going to try and lift a little bit more this session. That's kind of general, but good advice that I can give without knowing your specific situation. If you have any other questions around that, do get in contact with me and I'd love to help you out personally. FAQ number 2. This is another one sent in. What should I wear to the gym? So, as my little rant at the start suggested, I'm not a fashion expert, so if you're looking for colour coordination, you're at the wrong place. Starting at shoes or footwear, it depends what sort of workouts you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing the rower, you're going to be doing a combination of things. Footwear is an important one from a practical, logical standpoint. You want to make sure that you're wearing appropriate footwear. If you're doing a combination of things, so you're doing like hit things like jumping about and doing a bit of cardio and doing some weight training, you probably want some sort of an intermediate type shoe. So something that is going to be firm enough in the sole, it's going to give you support and stability whenever you're doing weightlifting with a barbell or whatever. But you want something that's going to be comfortable to jump about in. If you have you ever seen weightlifting shoes? There's a bit of a rise on them, and there's a metatarsal strap and things. Not the most comfortable to jump about on, so probably not the best idea. If you're gonna just do weights, get yourself some lifting shoes, preferably. If not, just get yourself a good firm pair of shoes, something like Vans, or I like Vans because they're quite wide. I've got quite a wide foot. Or Converse, just something flat, something rigid, something hard that is going to stick you to the ground. Not something foamy and soft like Solomon's or Asics or things like that. You don't want running shoes when you're doing weights. They're going to be, it's like standing on two footballs and trying to squat. You're going to be off balance. It's not going to be a good idea. So choose your shoes wisely. I don't want to go into too much detail on this because we're hopefully going to do a show on equipment and stuff to wear in the gym and things that you need. If you're a girl, I guess leggings or shorts or joggers or whatever you're into. Just something loose, something you're going to be able to squat in. That's all that matters. I don't really care what colour they are. Doesn't really matter what brand they are. If you can squat in them, great. That's the limitations of your leg wear choice. Make sure that you can squat in them. I guess for women, you want to make sure they're not see-through and all that sort of stuff. Guys generally don't have that problem. And then just a t-shirt or a vest or whatever it is you want to wear there. If you work out in a gym that doesn't really have any heating, like our gym, because you soon get warmed up and then you don't need heat, and only me really feels the cold, you might need to start off, wearing a hoodie in, and then you can kind of strip down and be in your t-shirt in the middle of the workout or towards the end because you're going to get so warm. If you're resting between sets, you might need to stick your hoodie back on, or just something that's going to keep you warm initially, and then you'll feel better. What else? Compression shorts are quite a good idea if you're a sweater. So compression shorts or compression top underneath, they're good for keeping you warm, but it also just means that you're not gonna feel sweat kind of sticking to you like you would something cotton. So yeah, that's what I would suggest wearing to the gym. And I guess if you're a real sweater, bring maybe a towel. If you're a girl or you've got long hair, but wear a headband or something, a hairband, just to keep the sweat out of your eyes. And that's about it. We'll do a more detailed show on equipment, and we'll go into a lot more depth on different things, belts and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that should get you started for now. Right, it's joke of the week time. I once debated a flat earther, and he gets so mad at me that he stormed off saying that he walked to the edge of the earth just to prove me wrong. But you know what? He'd come round eventually. And that is the end of the show. Thank you for joining me once again. If you've made it this far, hopefully you made it through those news stories. They're a wee bit sciencey, weren't there? A lot of big words in there, a lot of big words for me to mispronounce and people to make fun of me over. Next week, hopefully we're going to have a guest on. He's an expert in his field, so all being well, he will be on. I'm not going to tell you his name just yet in case it doesn't work out and the timings don't suit and stuff, but that's my hope anyway. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to train today so you can be stronger tomorrow. Hopefully those tips are helpful to get you back into the gym, get you back into the swing of things, and kick off 2022 with a bang. Have a good weekend. Take care.